Welcome to episode 4 of Homebrew. This week we are back on the lash and going over the limit with, of course, Christy and Kimmett. We're going to be talking about his time in Warrior Soul and Jizzy Pearl's love hate, and why never to assume who threw the pint glass. Alright, Christian, mate, how you doing, pal?
Not bad, man. How's yourself?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Stuck indoors like everyone else, I'm assuming.
Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty mad, you know. I mean, I'm just looking out the window right now, and the streets are bare.
Streets are bare.
Yeah, it's the norm. So
yeah. Well, that's the thing. So, I mean, we've managed to get, I think, twice, 2 rehearsals out. Have you managed anything with your guys or any sets?
Not a thing. I mean, basically, what I've been doing, sitting rehearsing by myself at home.
Mm-hmm.
Been working on some new material with both Warrior Soul and Love Hate, and I've just been doing that with Skype and things like that, you know, just to bounce off, but no actual real rehearsal. The closest I think I've done to any of that was I got asked to help a band out during lockdown, that I was doing like a recorded video session thing at Bannermans, and a band asked me to fill in for their bass player, so I did that, and that's been the closest I've had to doing anything.
And you're missing it
massively. It's nuts, man. Should have done so many gigs by now, and it's just, you know, just so far away.
So what happened? Did the whole year just get written off and then written off again? Was
pretty much. I mean, about this time last year, you know, things were starting to come through that, you know, trouble was ahead, basically. We'd already had tours scrapped, and then I just started having bands bailing from Bannermans, and I understand it, you know, but it was, you know, even though you knew it was on the horizon, it still sort of seemed to feel like it came out of nowhere.
It still felt it was going to last like for 2 weeks or something.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then, but then there seemed to be some confidence come back. So people started booking for like the end of last year and then the start of this year. So I guess that's all been wiped off again.
Absolutely, yeah.
But we'll get to the album that you released at the end of last year. Cool. I mean, that was recorded all over the place.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was mad. I mean, there are people that actually play on it that aren't in Warrior Soul, or people that used to be in Warrior Soul and stuff like that. So I mean, it is from all over the world, basically. It's great. I mean, technology is a wonder.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I think the last Pantera album was, I think, recorded like that. But I mean, how do you lose a bit of that sort of in the room feeling that you get sometimes? Do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know yourself, like being in a room with like 3-4 other guys, that, like, you know, there's the laugh that goes with it. You know, there's just there's the feeling of, you know, everybody just being there together, aiming for the same goal, you know, but you can actually bounce stuff off each other, and you're being honest with them there and then, whereas you could potentially lie, you know, behind the scenes. Oh yeah, that's great. Actually, that's shit. But you know, but no, it is. It's very different. It's very bizarre. I mean, because the album before the cover, was it the album before? You know, we were in like a room in Spain, you know, on previous albums and stuff, you know, bashing stuff out when we're all there and things like that, and that's great. But you know, you've got to do what you can.
Was that very much the feeling? We have to get something out because A, we've got to keep doing something. B, that's what we do. And C, you like we said earlier, you guys just miss it because, well, yeah, it's your livelihood for that part of things, you know. Yeah.
It's just mad. And I mean, it's, you know, it's coming on. Like, I've not seen Mr. Clark now since November 2019. You know, that's a hell of a long time.
Jesus, yeah. That's when we last played Bannermans.
Yeah, well,
as it goes. Yeah.
is my old band reformed to do that show because our drummer was over from Australia. That was a good night. I had a lot of fun.
It was a good night, yeah. We were up for a while in the room. So we share, not an acquaintance, but Mr. J. Watt.
Yes, indeed. Good old John boy.
So he produced and got down on that album.
He did, yeah. I had no idea that he was initially going to be involved in it. It was just all of a sudden I was seeing emails back and forth and stuff, and I was like, oh, JJ's going to be doing it. I mean, I've known JJ for a few years anyway, with the main grains and all that sort of stuff. So for him to come on board and do it was great, and I think he did an outstanding job, to be honest. I didn't know he had that ability in him.
Well, that's what I was going to say. What's it like having him on the other side of the glass for a change,
It was, it's mad. I mean, I genuinely didn't know that he had that in him, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just didn't know. And then when I heard the finished product, I was like, fuck, this guy's got it. And I think he's been doing stuff for other bands, and I think, like with the City Kids and stuff like that, I think he's doing the producing on that and things as well.
Yeah, he seems to be like the businessman around at the minute.
Yeah,
he's
which is
doing it all, isn't it? Yeah, it's good that someone's doing it.
Yeah.
So we've got JJ Cale, Hendrix, Motorhead. We've got some really big names on there on the album. So were they personal choices? Were they group decisions? Because obviously these are the kind of stuff that you guys are into.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I don't know if you know the backstory to it, but basically what happened was a friend of ours, a photographer called Alex Raffini, rest in peace. He sadly died of cancer a couple of years back, and we were approached to do a song for I think it was called Fuck Cancer, rock and roll or something like that. And we got approached to do something on that. And because Kiss were one of his favorite bands, we did a Kiss cover.
Cold Gins.
Yeah. And then Corey was just kind of like, let's do an album. And it had been discussed in the past, like a few years back, and nothing had materialized. But this kind of gave it a kick up the arse that it needed. And so, there were different people, bouncing ideas back and forwards. I mean, like Dennis, I'm pretty sure, was responsible for Van Halen and stuff. He got to be his guitar wank god kind of thing.
Gotta get one on there,
yeah. But I mean, various people had different inputs. I mean, there's a bunch of songs that have been suggested that we didn't do that we could easily do another covers album, because this one's been received pretty well.
Well, that was going to be one of the questions. What didn't make it that you wanted on there?
I don't know if I should really start naming them in case we offend any bands.
Yeah.
But there's like a bunch of stuff. I mean, there's a band from England that I actually really like, and I've let the guys hear them now and again. They're called Children on Stun. They were sort of, I don't even know how you kind of describe them. They've got more of that kind of like Mission vibe and all that sort of thing going on.
Oh, cool.
And there's a song I'd put forward for them, but we just didn't feel that it would fit in with the concept of the album Cocaine. So we discussed it, but it might make a future album.
Yeah, it's a bit more the gothier side of that sort of stuff, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the first time I let Corey hear it, he was like, fuck, this is such a good song. So we'll see what happens.
Made an impression then, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you get round to sort of playing that kind of stuff, I mean, where's it stand? Do you see the fun in belting out a cover, or do you prefer like the original side?
Do you know what? Total honesty, when I was younger and I was learning to play guitar and stuff like that, fucking hated learning other people's songs. It was one of those things. Yeah, I was this teenage kid. I wanted to do my own stuff. I mean, like when I was a teenager, I already had bands on the go where we were writing from about the age of 13. And I didn't really want to learn other people's songs, but now I find myself in the situation. I'm in two bands where I've had to learn the whole back catalogue.
A lot.
So for me to do the covers album, it was a lot of fun because there were different styles to it, and it made me actually work to learn something. And I do find it interesting picking out parts of songs that you might not know are necessarily there when you're just sitting listening to it at home.
Yeah.
You delve a bit deeper into the track.
So, do you reckon it's made you a better player in yourself, like, sort of thing?
I think so. Just learning, even doing like the Warrior Soul and Love Hate stuff. I mean, some of the Love Hate stuff's ridiculous. I do slap bass, and I'd never done slap bass in my life until I got back to it. So yeah, it definitely helps. It just means I have to practice a lot more.
Yeah, so you're going to be in a level 42 covers band soon.
I don't know if I could quite wear the bass that high up.
Oh, it is a bit, yeah. So what's on the horizon then for both sets? If you're allowed to talk.
At the moment, with Warrior Soul, we've been sending songs back and forwards. Probably since the beginning of last lockdown. And there's been demos. I've sent Dennis stuff. He sent me stuff. The guys in Chicago that we sometimes work with, like Adam from band The Last Vegas, and stuff. So everybody's putting ideas, and sending it to Corey. He's then working on it at home, and then sending it back to us. And then, we're just gradually piecing the stuff together. And I would imagine, there are plans for the album to be out this year, but if that's the case, we're going to have to work on it pretty rapidly.
Pretty soon.
But
yeah.
Saying that, with the covers album, that all came together pretty quickly once we started on it. So, yeah, I know there's 4 definite songs that have been picked for the album so far. But there's a load bouncing about that still need to be picked. At the end of the day, it'll be Corey's decision as to what goes on. And then with Jizzy, the album is actually at the mixing stage now. I think he's like, I think it's maybe like the second mix he's doing. He's taking his time making sure that he gets it all exactly how he wants it. Because this one's coming out on Golden Robot Records, I think they're called. And again, I think that's probably going to be late this year, early next year. But it's all done. It's all good to go. It just, as I say, he's just finishing mixing it. And then we'll see. Hopefully we'll get to tour both albums.
Well, that's it. So 2022 is looking busy.
Yeah, absolutely. Last year should have been busy for me anyway, but alas, here we are.
There we go. Yeah, we are where we are. So on that front, you're famously the man at Bannermans.
Yep.
So what's the feeling like round there at the moment? Because you said it was desolate in the streets. What's the general feeling around the people who normally go in the bar, I guess?
Do you know what? It's people are keen. Like, people really want the doors open and live music again. I think people are realistic in the fact that there will be live music again this year, but as to on what level, who knows? And the thing is, if it comes back in a scaled down version, it's, I respect the social distancing and all that sort of thing, but for a place like Bannermans, if they half our capacity and stuff like that, that's where we're gonna continue to struggle. Obviously it's a struggle as it is, but we obviously would love to be fully operational. But looking at it, I'd be surprised if we have a live show before July. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's me just, that's me speculating. Because unlike in England, where you got given, like more of a route map with dates, where 21st of June is going to be where everything can happen. Up here, that wasn't the case. We don't have dates in place at the moment for anything. And the way they're talking, I mean, bars and clubs and stuff, it's, outdoor places might be able to open in May, but places like Bannermans aren't going to be opening then. So we'll see. But there's desperation for it to happen by punters and us, So we'll see. I keep booking shows and announcing shows, and we just kind of hope. Sometimes people are like, "Yes, I hope this happens," and then some folk are like, "That's never going to take place." So it's a mixed response.
Yeah. You mean your Bannerman's comes up in our other talks like every week. It's everyone's favourite venue, man.
I'm glad that,
Yeah.
it's there, and we love what we do, and we love bringing the bands that we bring. That's the whole thing. So if we could open and do like a 24-hour festival, that would be killer.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. Just in Cowgate.
Well, that's it.
Under the arches, you'd be
Yeah.
immense.
Yeah, it would. But yeah, we'll just have to see what happens, man. It's tough.
Yeah. Seems like we're at the end of it, but as soon as that seems to happen, we seem to get ripped away again.
Well, that's it. I mean, something that we did recently, it was a friend of mine that kind of came up with the idea. We were chatting one night, and obviously, Bannerman's has its usual social media outlets, but we decided to set up an actual Facebook group as opposed to just the page, and it's taken off. I mean, people are in there all the time, sharing their memories, their videos, their photos, just talking about things and that's creating a really positive vibe. So hopefully, once we can open, that's gonna come with it,
Let's get to the rig rundown.
Okay.
So, normally we go for your prime acts at the minute.
Yeah.
And for once, we've got a bloody bass player. You're the first bass player
on. Basically, my go-to basses, especially when I'm in the UK, are Precision, Fender Precision. The one that I'm currently using, and is probably my most recent bass, is it's the Roger Waters one. So it's complete black body.
Yeah, maple neck one.
And it sounds killer. And I've got a guy in Edinburgh, Martin Decades, who he fixes my guitars for me. He fine tunes them, does everything I need. So my guitars are all pretty up to scratch on that matter. And then my sort of backup one, which used to be my main bass, it's another Precision, but it's a wooden finish, and it's great. I love it as well.
The thing about the P bass is they just have the sound that you need.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's no, I don't really use anything with it, like effects or pedals. I just plug it in, and that sound is just there. Obviously, the right amp helps, but I will stick with P basses. Contemplated Rickenbacker before, but I've never gotten round to it. So I think stick with P bass for now.
There's a lot of Thunder. Only what was that?
Only 4 strings, none of your 5 strings or.
Yeah, there's no point in messing around with all that. No, because everyone seems to play a Thunderbird these days.
Well, yeah, that's it. It's I've used a few on tour, but that's been, it's meant I've not had to travel with it, and I've had it provided for me in the country. So, and I don't mind them, but I'm not as comfortable with them. They've got that kind of weight at one end, and I'm not massive on it. I remember doing one gig in it was in Detroit actually, and so it was a hometown show for Warrior Soul, and there's like me and I've got this bass, and I had no strap lock on it because literally drove from Chicago airport straight to Detroit. We had like 20 minutes, got on stage, was handed the bass, no strap locks, and about 3 or 4 times it just popped and the weight just went down. Yeah. I ended up playing the bass across the stage and walking off during the last song. It was all right. I didn't get too much trouble.
No, you can't be playing something that you're holding up at the same time. It's a mare. So, what amps are you running into?
These days, I use an Ashdown 8x10, and I use a Marshall head. Basically, when I first started playing bass and stuff like that, I had like a Marshall combo. Can't even remember what it was now. It was like a TV8 or something like that. And I used it for quite a while. And then I wanted something bigger. So I went and I got this 8x10, and it was great. Loved it. I had the Ashdown head with it as well. And then we were opening for Chuck Mosley that used to be in Faith No More.
Oh, right, yeah.
Other bands. And his bass player borrowed it, plugged in, and boom, blew the head on it. And I was like, you are kidding me. So I took it to my guy Martin. He couldn't get it fixed.
Yeah.
So what I actually ended up doing was, obviously, Mikey Lawless, Fallen Red, Red in peace to that guy too. I ended up buying a Marshall head off of him, which I still have to this day. So it's great, So I have my wee memory of him via that head as well.
Via that, yeah. And it's it's getting played, which is it should be.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's kind of it. Those are just my basic things.
We're asking you 5 questions, and we'll see what you fire back with. Doesn't have to be one word. You can elaborate if you wish, or you don't have to. It's up to you.
Okay.
Okay, so all your venues you've played some big ones, played some small ones, you've played some hometown gigs, some faraway ones. But what is there one venue in particular? And we won't count Bannermans, you're not allowed it. Which happens to be your favourite one. That's the one that you would consider, that's going to be an amazing night. How are the 1,000?
God. I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't think I can just narrow it down to one. I mean, there's a lot of places. I love playing Trillions. I really like playing the Waterloo these days.
Not bad.
Well, Ian's really got that place happening, and it's always fun. But I don't know. I will tell you one place that I do like doing them. I've only done it because we've done Hard Rock Hell a few times. But is the Academy in Sheffield, in the bigger room. I like that, but I think as well it's just because I know the crowd are going to be nuts, and stuff like that. Especially, I mean, we've done that more with Love Hate than we have with Warrior Soul. We've only done one of the Hard Rock Hells with Warrior Soul, but for some reason when Love Hate do like Hard Rock Hell Sleaze or whatever, the place is just mental, and you just know it's going to go nuts. And then there's always bands playing there that I want to see. So
that helps.
Yeah. But I've elaborated probably not in the way you wanted, but
that's more than fine.
Bunch of killer venues out there, and I hope that the majority of them survive.
Well, a big ask.
Tough times.
Yeah, that's it. But like you said, Trillions, that comes up quite a few times as well. So I think there's
see how you said about I'm not allowed to mention Bannermans. I shouldn't really say this, but I'm gonna say this. I'm probably the only person that hates playing Bannermans. And it's because the minute I walk in, I'm expected to help with other things.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not here to deal with the place. I'm here to play the place. So, that's the only reason I don't like playing Bannerman. I can't just get on with it like everybody else gets.
Nah, help with the barrel. Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Let the man play. Arit, now you might not have done it for a while, but have you got any memories of a particular terrible loading that you've had?
The cat house in Glasgow is always a nightmare.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Stories.
And the underworld as well in London. I think it's
Camden.
Just anywhere that's got steps like this. And there's one, I don't think it's still there anymore, but there was a place called I think it's the Leopard in Doncaster.
The Leopard. Yeah, I don't know if it's still there, but I've seen it. Yeah.
It's a load-in through the back, but it's actually like going up a fire escape from a New York high-rise building. And we did it in the piss and rain, so it was pretty dangerous as well.
With an Ashdown 8x10.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that one. Okay, this one always comes up with a cracker. What's been one of you? Well, it can be more than one if you wish. What your worst live moment?
And does it have to be like a performance, or can it just be something that relates to the show?
Yeah, it can be. Take it how you want. Yeah, if it's something that relates to the show, that's fine.
I would say, like, we were playing in Italy one time, and the gig was going great. Everything. In fact, you know what? I've got a couple of Italy stories, so I'll just go with this one. We were in Italy. We were playing in Rome, and the gig had been fucking epic. Like, really, really, really good. I mean, it was amazing. And Corey had decided, show's over. We go to walk. The guitarist missed the memo that the show was over, started into another song. So we continued with the song. I stepped forward to do backing vocals. Next thing, I just feel something, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I turn around, and there's a broken pint glass lying across my amp. And I turn, and I have blood streaming down my face.
Whoa.
My drummer is bleeding because the glass has hit him as well. So I don't speak Italian, but I grabbed the mic from Corey's hand, who had no idea what the fuck was going on, and challenged out the crowd, and then jumped into the crowd and made my way, looking for whoever it was, couldn't find them, and basically said, just shouting at people, if anybody fucking finds out who that was, bring them to the dressing room.
Yeah.
Well, they found out who it was, brought them to the dressing room. I'm all geared up to, go hell for leather.
There you go.
And they brought in this girl, and she was fucking, and I was just like, what is going on? I was like, you know what, just take her away. Fucking take her away. Unbeknown to me, police had been called.
All right.
The police came to try and arrest her. I was like, I don't want her arrested. Just get her the fuck out of the venue. And it was just one of those nights. I never went to her. I just bled. And it made all the Italian papers the next day.
Bloody hell. Even the Carbonieri were nice.
So, yeah.
Jesus. So you lost a couple of pints of blood.
Mm-hmm.
As you do.
Yeah. Well, that's probably one of the worst and most memorable. I mean, we've had battles with hatchets before and stuff as well, but,
that whole thing.
It's just fucking. It's always Italy for some reason.
Oh.
So there's meant to be a Warrior Soul comic book coming out. Like, I've seen all the artwork and stuff like that. I think it's going to come to an album. And the story about the hatchet and all that's in the comic book. So I won't tell that story.
Fair enough. You heard it here first, folks. You got to get the book. Reet, now obviously you've played some big places, met some big people. Have you ever been starstruck by anyone? Like properly like, oh.
I don't know if starstruck is the word, but the two people that I've kind of come away from going, fuck. First one was Dave Mustaine, massive Megadeth fan, and fortunately, I got to meet him at what's it called, Metal Hammer Golden God Awards.
Oh shit, yeah.
And so I got to hang out and blether with him and stuff like that. And he was actually super cool. You know, you hear stories that the guy can be an arse, but I thought he was lovely. And I remember just walking away and saying to my wife at the time, I never need to meet anybody again. I just met fucking Dave Mustaine. And I was, you know, ecstatic at that. But then a few years ago, I had passes for AC/DC in Denmark when Axl was singing.
Oh, right.
And so I was in the backstage area. There was like 6 people and then the band. And so, you know, ended up meeting Axl, blethering to Axl for a wee while. And this was just before they were due to go on stage. And I was kind of like, fuck, did I ask this guy for a picture? And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And he was like, yeah, of course. And he did it. And I went back and I showed Anna. And she was like, I've never seen you being like such a little boy in my life. So I don't know. Maybe that's not a cool story to tell. But it was pretty cool to meet him and just shoot the shit, you know.
Yeah,
because it wasn't just he was singing for Guns N' Roses, he was singing for AC/DC at the time. So,
yeah, and he nailed it as well.
Yeah, it was great. It was cool, really cool. So, but yeah, maybe he's telling that story to somebody that, you know, he just started meeting me. I know that Corey doesn't like them.
I reckon I will be. We're chin-wagging with Duff about your bases.
Maybe it is.
The last one. A cheeky red, a single malt, or a few beers?
I'll go a single malt.
Single malt.
Although I will, it depends, you know. Although I'm not really drinking much at the moment, but last lockdown it started with beer, then the red, then the malt. That was an average day, but now I'm not really using so much. So, yeah. Single malt all the way. Yourself?
Yeah. It's a hard choice, isn't it? I mean, but distance, yeah, a few beers. You can't just beat a few beers, can you? Well, obviously single malt, but yeah.
Today I was actually at Bannermans today, and I was standing there and I was just like looking at the taps, and I was just like, fuck, I would love a pint, but obviously I've got them all disconnected and stuff. But
yeah,
I really want a real pint,
a proper pint.
Yeah,
I know. But somewhere in the world, someone's going to walk in, and their first proper pint is going to be a pint of Foster's. So, you know.
Not at Bannermans, it won't, because we
not
don't.
At Bannermans.
No.
No, you do right. Brill. Right, Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on here.
Thank you for having me, man. It's been cool.
So, yeah, thanks for the chat, and we'll catch up soon when you're back open and when you're back on tour.
Yeah, and we'll have Hellbound up as soon as we can.
Cool. I'll catch you later, dude.
Nice one, man. Take care.
See you now. Bye.